More than 5,000 American servicemen went missing in action during the Korean War. On Friday, North Korea says it will turn over the remains of some of those troops to the United States. David Martin spoke with the son of one of the fallen Americans.
Rick Downs was 3 years old when his father Hal went off to the Korean War. He's been missing ever since.
I call it the wound that never heals. After a while, you get used to having it, and it finds a place within you, and you go on, you live life.
He was too young to remember his father, so all he has is a home movie of a 26-year-old man with everything to live for.
You just can't help but look at him and see that he had it together. He had what he wanted. He had the woman he wanted. He had the family he wanted.
Hal Downs was a radar operator in the back of an Air Force bomber which went down on a mission over North Korea. The pilot and navigator were able to bail out.
What did they tell you about what they thought had happened to your father?
They had no idea.
Was either of them able to witness the crash?
The navigator said the plane went down finally crashed over a hill, and he heard the ammunition going off. That's all. That's all we know.
2 years ago, Rick flew to Pyongyang to press for the return of not just his father's remains, but those of the 5,300 American servicemen still missing in action in North Korea.
Are you out to give your father a proper burial? Do a son's duty?
I got the son's duty already. When I got to go to North Korea, we flew in over where we think my dad's plane went down.
This is him with a snapshot of his father as he flew over the site.
It was all there. The hills that the navigator said the plane went down, there they were. It's the closest I've been to him, proximity-wise, since I was 3. And just never forget that.
Now he is coming close again, this time with a promise by Kim Jong-un to President Trump to return remains from the war.
You have to really watch your heart here, because this all could just fizzle. This could be nothing. It could be everything.
Whether Hal Downs ever receives a proper burial is in the hands of the North Koreans. But when you visit the National Mall, you will find his image etched into the stone of the Korean War Memorial, the face of the missing. David Martin, CBS News, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Retired Navy Admiral and CBS News contributor James Winnefeld joins me now from Washington. Admiral, thanks for being here. Why has it taken so long for the remains to be returned?
Well, the problem, of course, is that the North Koreans are doing what any civilized nation would not do, and that is withholding these remains for years and years and years to try to use them as a bargaining chip. Civilized countries just don't do that. So that's why it's taken a long time, because the Koreans are trying to get something in return for the remains. At least it appears that way.
So let me back up just for a second. How will all of the remains be returned, and how will we be able to identify that they're actually Americans?
So the remains will be brought to the border and handed over to personnel from the United States. They'll probably be in wooden crates. The North Koreans don't handle them especially carefully. We will immediately begin handling them with great dignity, and they will probably be transferred to a facility in Hawaii that is controlled by the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, led by retired National Guard Major General Kelly McKeague. He will be charged with conducting the tests on those remains. Normally, they will get 2 completely independent and separate DNA tests to verify that the origin of the remains. And ultimately, we would hope to get enough of an identification that we can return those remains to the loved ones who lost them so many years ago. But they will very carefully check to make sure that there's not a hoax involved here.
And how? It's just hard to put into words what this will mean for so many families. Some of them have been waiting for more than 60 years.
Well, and there are a lot more families than the ones who are going to receive their remains back, unfortunately. There are many more remains, we believe, in North Korea that the North Koreans have, and that they are probably withholding, trying to get something in return for them. And in fact, we should not be treating this as anything other than a goodwill gesture by a country that should have returned these remains a long time ago.
Admiral, how does the return of the remains impact the relationship between North Korea and the United States going forward?
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt. We're very grateful to have them back for our own people. But we should be very careful to separate this goodwill gesture away from the actual negotiations over the North Korean nuclear program. So on the one hand, it's a good indicator that they're serious, that they want to come to terms with this negotiation. But we need to be careful not to allow this to be a quid pro quo, lest we incentivize future behavior, not only on the part of North Koreans, but other countries as well.
So should this be perceived as the beginning of a more amicable relationship between the two countries, or should we remain skeptical?
Well, a little bit of both. The first journey starts with a single step. It's not a bad thing that the North Koreans are returning these things. Again, our families are going to be very happy to have them, but we've got a long way to go in building trust with the North Koreans. They have proven over the last few decades to be the opposite of trustworthy. So, again, positive signal, and that it's a good first step. We've got a long way to go.
As we await for these remains, how has the relationship evolved between North Korea and South Korea?
Well, it looks like, thanks to South Korea's President, Moon Jae-in, who has really been the catalyst in this whole journey from the Olympics to today, that relationship is gradually improving. It remains to be seen whether the North Koreans are doing that with deep skepticism or whether they genuinely want to improve their economy, improve the state of their country, and build a better, more civilized relationship, not only with South Korea, but with the rest of the world. So, again, we still have a long way to go, but these first steps are positive.
All right. Admiral James Winnefeld, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.